He spent years building homes for others, but never had one of his own. Ethan, a skilled carpenter in his 40s, had given his entire life to his craft. Yet no matter how hard he worked, life always seemed one step ahead of him. His dream was simple: to build one final house, a masterpiece, to prove that all his years of effort had meant something. One morning, his employer came to him and said, "Ethan, I want you to build one last house before you retire. Make it your best." But Ethan, tired and disheartened, just wanted to be done. Still, he agreed. He worked quickly, cutting corners, choosing cheaper materials, and rushing through the details. He wanted to finish and move on. He didn't know it yet, but the house he was building half-heartedly would soon reveal the most profound lesson of his life. Ethan had spent his whole life building homes that weren't his. For 20 years, he had worked under the same company, crafting walls, roofs, and doors that became the foundation of other people's dreams. Yet every time he handed over the keys, he felt a quiet emptiness inside, a whisper asking, "When will I build something for myself?" As the years passed, his hands grew rough, his back ached, and his hope dimmed. He had dreamed of opening his own workshop, of creating furniture that carried his name. But life, with all its responsibilities and debts, kept pushing that dream further away. When his boss asked him to build one last house before retiring, Ethan felt more tired than thankful. "Just one more," he muttered. "Then I'm done." But something was different this time. He didn't feel the same spark when he held his hammer. The rhythm that once gave him peace now felt like a burden, so he began to rush. He used cheaper wood, ignored measurements, and skipped the details that once made his work special. "It's good enough," he told himself, though deep down he knew it wasn't. Weeks turned into months. The house stood tall, but it lacked the soul of Ethan's earlier creations. He didn't care. He just wanted to finish. When the last nail was hammered, he exhaled, relieved that it was over. But as he looked at the house, something in his heart twisted, a quiet guilt he couldn't name. He walked away, never realizing that the careless work he left behind was about to teach him the most important lesson of his life. The day Ethan finished the house, his boss called him into the office with a quiet smile. "You've given this company your best years," he said. "We wanted to thank you in a special way." He held out a small wooden box, and inside was a single key. Ethan frowned, confused. "What's this?" The old man smiled. "It's yours. The house you just built? It belongs to you." Ethan froze, the words echoing in his mind. "The house you just built belongs to you." His breath caught in his throat. The floor beneath him felt unsteady. The home he had rushed through, the corners he had cut, the mistakes he ignored, all of it was now his. He walked to the property that evening, his hands trembling as he unlocked the door. The hinges creaked, the paint looked uneven, and the walls carried every shortcut he'd made. What should have been a gift now felt like a mirror reflecting his own carelessness. He sank to the floor in silence, shame washing over him. "If only I had known," he whispered. "If only I had built it with love." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The same hands that had created beauty for others had built disappointment for himself. He realized that every swing of his hammer, every choice he made, had been shaping not just houses, but his own legacy. And now he was living inside the result of his own effort, or lack of it. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't pray for success. He prayed for wisdom, to never treat a single day, a single task, as meaningless again. The next morning, Sunlight streamed through the crooked window of the house Ethan had built, casting uneven lines across the dusty floor. He sat quietly in the corner, tracing the grain of the wood with his calloused fingers. For years, he had blamed the world for not giving him a chance to create something meaningful, never realizing that meaning had always been in his hands. As he looked around, he saw not a failure, but a reflection of his own choices. Every rushed nail, every uneven beam, every careless brush of paint whispered the same truth. This is what happens when you stop giving your best. Something stirred inside him, a quiet, humble determination he hadn't felt in years. That afternoon, he gathered his old tools, sandpaper, and brushes. He began to fix what he had once ignored. Day after day, he repaired every flaw, pouring his heart into each corner of the house. He replaced rotten planks, straightened door frames, and carefully repainted every wall. It was hard work, lonely work, but for the first time, it didn't feel like labor. It felt like redemption. Neighbors noticed. "Ethan, you've already retired," one said. "Why keep working?" He only smiled and replied, "Because this house isn't just mine. It's a reflection of who I am. I need it to be honest." Weeks passed, and slowly, the lifeless house began to breathe again. When the final stroke of paint dried, Ethan stood back and gazed at the home. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive. It carried his spirit, his patience, his love. And as he sat on the porch at sunset, a deep peace settled in his heart. He finally understood that life, much like carpentry, is not about how fast you build. It's about how much of yourself you put into every nail, every day, every moment. Years later, the house stood proudly at the edge of the small town, a quiet masterpiece born not from ambition, but from redemption. People who passed by often stopped to admire it, amazed at the craftsmanship and soul it carried. "Who built this?" they would ask. Ethan would smile softly and say, "A man who learned to start again." The home had become more than wood and nails. It was a testament to patience, presence, and the beauty of giving your best, even when no one is watching. Ethan now spent his mornings sitting on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise spread light across the hills. Every creak of the wooden floor, every shimmer of light through the window reminded him that even broken beginnings can lead to beautiful endings if we choose to rebuild with care. He often thought about the day he was handed the key, the sting of regret, the weight of wasted effort, and how it became the spark that reignited his purpose. One afternoon, a young apprentice from his old company came to visit. "Sir," he said, "I've been working fast to finish projects like you used to, but I can't seem to get them right. How did you learn to slow down?" Ethan looked at him for a long moment, then handed him a small hand-carved keychain shaped like a house. "Because one day," he said gently, "you'll realize that everything you build, your work, your relationships, your life, is a house you'll have to live in. So build it with care." As the apprentice left, Ethan looked up at the golden sky and smiled. He finally understood that his greatest creation wasn't the house. It was the man he had become while rebuilding it. In life, we're all builders. Every choice we make, every word we speak, every action we take becomes a brick in the house of who we are becoming. Ethan's story reminds us that shortcuts may save time, but they steal meaning. True fulfillment isn't found in reaching the finish line. It's found in the care we give along the way. The walls we rush to build today are the same walls we'll live behind tomorrow. So whatever you're building, your dreams, your career, your relationships, build them with patience, purpose, and heart. Because one day, life will hand you the key to the very thing you've created, and you'll have to live inside it. Make sure it's strong enough to stand and beautiful enough to bring peace. Remember, you can't control the outcome, but you can always control the effort. And that's where true achievement begins,